live, guys. Current.
What's going on, everybody? JT here and C Will here as well. David's around here somewhere. I think he's coming back on in a minute. He's going to give me a thumbs up when he's ready to go. We'll bring him back on screen. But this is episode 33 of the Next Block. We are back from Dubai. How you doing out there?
I'm well, man. I'm so happy to be back. Dubai was an amazing experience. Shout out to the Algorand Inc., Algorand Foundation, and all the startups and people who attended. But I'm happy to be back, honestly, back here at home working and producing content.
Yeah, absolutely. I just unfolded my setup today. I mean, I was supposed to be behind the camera with you guys about half an hour ago, and it took me a little while to get set up. But excited to be back, excited to be doing this, and hopefully next time we get together, I'll have my actual microphone because I'm lacking that today. Hopefully it sounds good out there. And everyone tuning in, smash that thumbs up button. Hit us up in the live chat and let us know what you want to talk about. We're going to discuss Decipher, of course. We're going to talk about governance and a bunch of other things. So just let us know what you want us to talk about.
Definitely. All right. Well, let's start a little bit with some. How was your trip to Decipher? What was that like being the first time in the United Arab Emirates?
Okay. My perspective was it was phenomenal. It blew me out of the water, actually. And I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions Americans have of like certain regions. So it's just like it was really nice to get out there. Beautiful to see. And honestly, a really, really cool feat of human engineering, because in my opinion, it's really cool to see, how you could design a whole city if it's starting from scratch. Because here in the States, all of our cities at this point, our major cities are at least 100, 200 years old, some of them even older than that. So really, you're just doing modifications to the city at best. But when you can just take an area that's desolate and just, start it from scratch, it's really, really interesting the ways you can design things.
Yeah, I agree. The architecture, as you said, the way they clearly have thought it all out, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to make this city, but we're going to really think about the growth, the expansion, the architecture, and the way that the infrastructure is built up is impressive. And then I love the culture there, right? How people, it's good, Christian. I love the culture there, how everyone was like very kind, very nice. Not saying they ain't nice here in the US, but they were like, I feel like mind their own business, very respectful. And it was an open place that if you want to wear like your traditional clothing, you could wear without no one looking at you. Or if you want to just wear some Nike, some Gucci, that all works out well. It was very clean, very, very clean and sanitary. The whole city I seemed like they clean at all times. So I thought that was cool. But overall, just like the adjustment of my eyes to look at the buildings, just rendering, just boom, look like Grand Theft Auto and all that.
Right.
Renders more buildings and more buildings. And then, but a big highlight was going to the Burj Khalifa. All right, that was huge. So the Burj Khalifa, tallest building in the world, the way they built that infrastructure up really showed their genius and their excellence. So I thought that was the best way to stunt possible was like, hey, check out what we built.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard to conceptualize in words when you're just like reading about it. But it is about 3 times the size of the Eiffel Tower. And when you're actually there in person, you're just like, okay, this is nuts. I mean, the elevator alone, your ears pop on the way up. It's like, this is bizarre. But it was fantastic. And aside from, Dubai just being a great thing to like look at and hang out in, Decipher itself is also phenomenal. I mean, I think Algorand did a great job setting up this event. It was, in my opinion, astronomically better, putting all the amenities aside, like the food and the nicety of the area and all that stuff. The actual event itself was astronomically better than the one last year. There were more people in attendance. There were way more projects, probably by a factor of 5 or 6. There was so much enthusiasm in the depths of this bear market, which was absolutely encouraging. There's a lot of people working, and I left that. I kind of wish the entirety of crypto Twitter could have been there, because it would have illuminated a lot of people to all of the work that's being done and all of the really cool things that are about to come to fruition over the course of the next year. I mean, there's so many projects that none of us had heard of, and we're pretty in tune with what's going on in the ecosystem. So it was really encouraging to see just the level of enthusiasm and hard work that's still happening in this bear market.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Like when we were doing the live streaming, most of those projects, maybe 90%, I had no idea that they existed. We met them during that, during the Decipher conference.
Right.
So you got all these different payment processors from, South America, from in the islands and India. And then so it's like essentially like when we did the ALGO Fam chat, it was over 30 different people representative in that room of like 55. It was like 30 different countries, right? Of all different nationalities, cultures, religions, ethnicities. I thought that was beautiful. But what it showed is that though Algorand has a small market cap, though we're kind of beat up in the price right now, these people around the world see the technology and they value the technology and they're making solutions for their community. And that was the most important thing, is that things are happening, right? Even to learn about Nifty Souk, right, which is a NFT marketplace in the Middle East area, just to know that there's more things happening than what we even know about on Twitter. So that's what it exposed me about, is that a lot of people are building on Algorand. So I wish all y'all could have seen, the passion that these people was displaying about their projects and their solutions. What's good, David?
Nothing much. Little man's back down. So he does this amazing thing where he falls asleep for 30 minutes, wakes back up, and then falls back asleep.
Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about a little highlights of Dubai, and then also a little highlight for yourself and Decipher.
Well, for me, one, I found my body's limits on travel. So I will not be trying, no matter where, unless Decipher next year is in the States. I am not going to be trying to link up Thanksgiving and going and traveling, halfway across the world. So that sucked. So obviously I was out the first day, but from what I did see and the people I talked to, the projects I saw, I'm definitely excited for Algorand Gaming. I think that's going to be fun. That was definitely well represented there. Obviously, we were, doing interviews and talking to so many people. We didn't really get to sit in on a lot of the panels, but I from hearing from a lot of people, and even now watching some once getting back, there's definitely been a lot of stuff that's happening. Obviously, we got Binance accepting USDC. That's exciting. Now, obviously, for a lot of American investors, it still doesn't really matter because you can't use it. But like you were kind of saying, Will, you kind of do get to see how big Algorand is on the global scale, right? And there's so much more than just the USA side of investing and the crypto space. And honestly, I've heard a lot of people say that, maybe America's not going to be the winner of the Web3 crypto movement, right? We had Silicon Valley, we had the Web2 giants all in America, and now I think we may be seeing, the Middle East, India, somewhere in Europe, maybe. I don't know about that. I would say the Middle East because of
Asia and Middle East.
Yeah, just because of their willingness to let crypto adoption happen and blockchain adoption happen. So maybe that was part of the reason why Algorand was even there in the first place. I know that some people they said that the past kind of heads of marketing and the foundation decided that trip. So it wasn't Stacy and whoever else, I guess, took over marketing. They didn't plan that. That was planned out before. But, it was exciting to obviously meet everybody. Like you guys said, the price action does suck. But, hey, John's in the chat. It was great meeting John in person. And that's what a lot of these, events are for, right? It's networking, it's meeting people, it's kind of getting a feel of the community, of the vibe. And hey, the vibe was good. Obviously, is there things that the community doesn't like about the foundation? Yes. Yeah. I would assume, like I say, I'm not in every, I'm not in the Cardano community. I'm not in Ethereum communities, but I can almost guarantee you that there are people on Ethereum who didn't like the proof of stake switch. I bet there are people in Cardano who don't like some of the things Charles Hoskinson does, right? Like, it's like to just look at Algorand and think Algorand's going to fail because of the foundation is what I would say stupid, right? Algorand's going to succeed because of the things building on Algorand and the community that's already there. I mean, right now, I would say in the NFT scene, Algorand and Ethereum are leading the charge right now with this Sappy Seals Long Boy stuff, right? I mean, it's everywhere, right? I follow more Ethereum people in the past few days, and guess what? None of that happened because of the foundation. That was J-Hole creating a funny meme, and look and it spurred this whole thing. I will say I'm the only one on hashtag Team Thick Boys. We're gonna have to get some more thick boys over here, but that's what crypto and blockchain can be as far as the community growing it from an organic side.
Absolutely.
And all the foundation's there to do is just to help spur certain projects, and I get it, right? If a VC wants to funnel them, if they're in big on a coin like Algorand, guess what? And Borderless says, I want the money to go here. 10 times out of 10, I bet the money's going to go where Borderless says to send that money, because it's their money. They're investing in Algorand, right? They're the bigger buys. We're not. We're little, fish, in swimming in the ocean, right? But that's my Decipher rant, I guess.
That's so funny. The chat's going wild right now about that necklace.
About
Want to
what
do a couple
necklace?
shout outs real quick?
About that necklace I was wearing at Decipher.
Oh yeah.
I have it. I have it in the other room. Should I bring it out? Is that what the chat's asking for right now?
Yeah, I guess so. Where can we get it? I like it.
Yeah,
I want to shout out real quick. Dan, Uncle Sam, what's good? Yasu, sorry if I mess up the name, but shout out to Yasu. Lefty, Tommy the Cat. What we said, Lefty, John, what's good, John? Christian, how y'all doing? You are required to wear it at all times. Yeah, that's what happens. IE, shout out to IE. Look like he about to go get the necklace there.
But I will say this: it's kind of funny that it last year, right? We pretty much knew what was going to be the big news at Algorand Decipher before it even happened. This year, we pretty much knew that as well. Being the Binance, announcement. I will say the Algo Ventures type thing where the Algorand Foundation is going to be, pretty much its own VC, through some way. That obviously was pretty big news. But, still there's still people are still building. We got Fractal Monsters in the chat as well. There's still tons of fun things, that are coming out here in the next few quarters that I would say are bullish. Now, obviously, and this is a big if, but if the macro behind all of this can change, right? If we can get some reasons to be bullish and reasons for big investors to want to speculate, because we're still in, as much as Silvio said, we're going to move from that speculation to utility stage. We're still in speculation, right? No one chain has proven that they're going to be the chain, and so we're still speculating. And if the macro can improve and we can get to an area where we can start to speculate more, I think Algorand is going to be a top five coin.
Facts.
Yeah. I walked in late, but I certainly agree with that statement. I think people are very impatient, and it is true that, of course, Algorand for most of its inception has been, a pretty poor performer compared to its peers. But it's a bear market at this point. That's not going to change really in the bear market, and that was the case even in the bull market. Even when we were going to 250, we were still underperforming its peers, which is unfortunate, but that was a product of dilution and a lot of dilution at that. I mean, the circulating supply increased 150% in 1 year at this point. It can only increase another 30% from here or something like that, or 40%. So that level of dilution could never happen again anyway. So I think people are going to be surprised by the time we get to the next bull market. So nothing fun happens during a bear market, and trends that are set kind of remain until the end. So
the memes get better in the bear market.
The memes get way better in the bear market, because it's my kind of humor, though. I kind of like a darker side of humor anyway.
And Twitter gets really vicious during this time too.
That is true. I have to sometimes just the past handful of days, I haven't even been paying attention to much. I just tweet a couple of things I want to tweet and just kind of leave it at that, because it's so you don't want to engage with it. It brings your mood down too. It's just why do I want that?
Yeah, because we said, if you only look at that price chart, you go, damn, it hurts. It does hurt. But if you look at the fundamentals, as we've all just been talking about, the fundamentals are better than they have ever been. And again, with David, going back to your point with the U.S. is still rocked by FTX. The U.S. is not figuring out what to do. So the good thing is that since crypto is global, when China got rid of Bitcoin continued to thrive, right? And that's what I'm seeing with Algorand, what I'm seeing with the rest of the cryptos. And what you said about the long boys, Algorand, the creators on Algorand, it's a great idea to partner up and work with Ethereum people, I think, in my opinion, because the liquidity is still on Ethereum. No matter what we don't like or not. I used some Ethereum last night. I was using my ledger. I was waiting for a few minutes to swap my staked ETH or Lido staked ETH back to regular ETH. It took a long time, made me uncomfortable, and made me look back to Algorand's okay, we got a good opportunity here. Right. But at the same time, ETH still has that market cap that you can't look past.
And you look at like staking on Chainlink, right? They just started that.
Mhm.
How much Chainlink do you have to have though to earn rewards? It's like $49,000 worth to be able to start earning those rewards. That's ridiculous. And I had to, someone can fact check me on that, but I saw some tweets from, an official page on Link saying that if you were staking this much, you would start earning rewards. I don't know if you can earn below that, but like it's the same thing with ETH. What do you have to be a validator? You have to hold 32 ETH. And for most people, all that is you're feeding whales. Like if I had the meme of that pipe, right, where it goes to the end and the VCs are just drinking all of it, and the retail's the one getting out of the crack. That's like if you don't have at least 32 ETH, right, you are just a small little fish that's getting maybe a little bit, but you're just part of their bigger scheme, feeding the whales and the VCs until a clear winner comes out, and then they just jump ship and they jump into whatever is winning. To answer some of the questions I was seeing over here, someone said, I think Lefty said, 1 or 2 new projects that you were intrigued by or to research up on at Decipher. For me, even though we just had them on the week before, we went to Decipher, but for me, it was, and now I'm Aegir Tactics. Yeah. For me, I mean, because they actually had the gameplay there at Decipher, so it was really cool just to actually play the game, even though it's still in a bare bones beta stage. But nonetheless, it was still a lot of fun to actually test it out. There were some other games there. I didn't actually get time to test the Cosmic Champs game, which I wanted to, but like I said, I was out kind of not feeling well the first whole day, so that kind of took out a lot of my time. For me, that's what it was. I don't know if you guys want to throw out one that you are, and then let's talk a little bit about FTX.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you stole the one that I wanted to mention just because I played the game and it was a lot of fun. But there's one other project that I want to give a shout out to, but I wish I could remember the name. So I'll look it up and maybe post about them on Twitter eventually. But I spoke to somebody that essentially it has a project where they're bringing, I believe, the Australian dollar on chain, which I don't know how much use the Australian dollar will get or like demand it'll have on chain. But one of the reasons I like that move though is because I think it's just a step in the right direction to having more currencies on chain, and I'd love to see just a larger ability to trade various currencies on chain. So I'm hoping that just as a step in the right direction to get the euro next and get maybe even AED, Arab Emirates money and whatnot. Just like the ability to trade currencies on chain for me would be fun, but also I think legitimizes the space more as well, because Forex is a very common type of market that people engage in, and it's a big one.
Yeah. I would say I want to add, we didn't get to speak to him on our show, but hopefully we get him on a different time. His name is Aaron, but they have a company called Outside, and it's a leading edge ESG company. But it's kind of what I told you about, JT. This one here, they're basically tokenizing real world land and assets. So this is one y'all haven't heard about. And it's a way where they're like buying up natural resources in terms of like places where there's coal and all this stuff that bigger companies will want to strip all of those resources out the earth. They're buying them, preserving them, breaking them down into different like NFTs and fragments, and then they're going to be building like not resorts but like cabins and all type of outside lifestyle out there. Then they can go rent that out and create a revenue. So it's like a lofty but with natural resources on a different scale, and I think that's something that y'all hear about more. And it's one of those things that's going to bring a lot of money in, but also keep the world green. I think that's dope. That's one of the ones I found out. It's called Outside.
Well, that's awesome.
There was one thing I was just going to say, that it was kind of surprising that when, Silvio was kind of giving his opening remarks at Decipher, the 2 projects that they highlighted, which was like the Agro token, and then the I forget the airplane one, or the trap. The ticketing for Travel X. Yeah. So it's interesting because obviously when Algorand started, and still even I would say to now, most of the network activity comes from Planet Watch, right? And the sensors sending all that data. And so I don't know if these 2, things are going to actually start seeing more transactions on mainnet. But I do wonder what's going to be that, right? I feel like something like a Lofty and even Vesta Equity could be something. What are your all's thoughts with which type of project is actually going to bring like real and many new transactions to the Algorand blockchain?
Well, another one, it was a guy from Italy, I believe, but they were building, doing the museum project where they're taking real artifacts in museums, digitizing them, and then they're like re-tokenizing them so that people around the world can look at them in AR, VR, and technically like own a piece of culture. So I like there was another cultural project that I can't remember the name, but I like those cultural projects. I feel like those will hit because the utility and the use case is different. So if you got art students and whatnot, you have a tokenized piece that they want to study that you can't visit in real life, you can then look at it in the metaverse and then own it, and then you start to get the full image. So I feel like institutions like college and universities will then buy those type of things in bulk so that their students can use it. So I'm seeing those type of use cases as will bring, I guess, the transaction volume up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to echo the point you made, at least about Vesta Equity and Lofty and whatnot. We had Michael on for about 5 or 10 minutes at Decipher. Michael Carpenter, the CEO of Vesta Equity. We had him on for a handful of minutes at Decipher. And one of the things that I'll say about something like Vesta Equity is it has a chance to bring a lot of value on chain. I don't know if that'll necessarily turn over into transaction volume because people will just be holding their real estate, but there'll definitely be a lot of value locked on chain because, like he said to us, they're working on one of the properties right now that they're trying to get is like a multi-million-dollar property, whereas Lofty focuses on like kind of cheaper single family homes where like one property might be $100,000, where like the value of a property on Vesta Equity might be the same value as like 10 to 30 Lofty homes. So that alone, I think, is pretty exciting. But then news that's public information on Algorand's YouTube page was the news about MAPay at Decipher, and they announced that they made a deal with the Indian government to launch about 100 million NFTs on Algorand. And these are like healthcare related NFTs. MAPay is a health services type of platform building on Algorand. And I think it's applications like that'll really surprise you because there's not enough there's not like hype and excitement around like health services. That kind of just gets pushed to the sidelines. But it's going to be projects like that are creating hundreds of millions of wallets and hundreds of millions of NFTs, and then just like transaction volume explodes right beneath your eyes, but before anyone even notices.
Now, I didn't actually hear too much about that one. Are those utility or like art-based NFTs, or obviously maybe a mixture? Like, are they actually just meant to be like something you receive while if they're using that service from MAPay, or is it just like an art, like kind of like how Meadow Labs with a zoo type thing?
Now, I'm pretty sure they're utility-based NFTs. I'll have to go back and do a little digging. It's on day 2 of the Decipher videos on the Algorand Foundation web YouTube page, but they haven't chopped those up yet, so it's like 7 hours of content you kind of have to wade through to get to it. But because, from what I understand, because I talked to somebody there, the deal itself was literally signed the very night before day 2. So like the deal was signed right before day 2. It was announced on day 2. And so far, there still isn't a public press release of it yet, to my knowledge. So far, all we have is that announcement at Decipher. So the information's limited, but either way, I'm pretty excited about that because MAPay is a very official, like health services oriented company. I'd imagine it wouldn't be just like random art NFTs,
Yeah.
Healthcare is huge. So tapping into that is definitely a game changer.
Oh yeah, and it's corrupt as all get out. So a better system and more transparent system would be great. So let's transition and talk a little bit of FTX. What are your all's thoughts there? I would say, I guess, to get the ball started, the gaslighting we are seeing and it's also, I think you're seeing how deep some evil lines may run through this space. I would like to see Scaramucci get as far away from Algorand at this point now. He's rubbing elbows again with Kevin O'Leary, and I didn't watch it, but they had some type of panel today that they were both on, and it just goes to show you these guys don't give a shit about ethics. They don't care about the good they do in the world, the bad they do in the world. At the end of the day, all they care about is the bottom line. And so like I can't stand the fact that Kevin O'Leary is trying to make Sam Bankman-Fried out to be a good guy. Like if they are gaslighting it so hard to make it seem like it's something different than it was. And CoffeeZilla, obviously he's jumped in a few spaces and put Sam on blast. And obviously every single time Sam gets the hard questions, he just yeah, because I'm not supposed to say that because the people who are paying me, telling me what to say, don't want me to. So it's just
let me comment on Scaramucci.
Yeah, come in.
This is the part that pissed me off with Scaramucci. he does this, oh, I'm Algorand, you know, blah, 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 Scaramucci.algo, right? Let me write a book. And
Yeah,
soon
burn
as
that fucking book.
burn the book. Soon as I sell this book, I immediately sell out to Sam Bankman-Fried and I change my .algo. This is what Scaramucci did. Now he's been ghost on the Algorand community, but we find out it's because he's in, like David just explained, he has aligned himself with people who do really sketchy things, Kevin O'Leary included, right? So what it also showed me is that Scaramucci, no knock to him personally, but him and his company must not do research or they really are scammers. Because how would you sell your company to someone like Sam Bankman-Fried, who he said he didn't have a board, he has no oversight, and he don't know who runs what and who does what. We don't know if he's lying he don't know his left foot from his right foot. His skill set is supposed to be in risk management. He's clearly the worst risk manager and he does fraud. And this is me not making up nothing. This is all out there.
And when it first dropped, he was supportive, or he was against Sam Bankin, right? And everything that was happening. He was with, I would say, the regular investor saying like, this is awful. And now he's switched. He is trying to then now kind of join the gaslighting and try to change this story. And it's narrative, just like, exactly. It's
and so if you change the narrative, this dude is supposed to be in prison for doing fraud. That isn't legal in the Bahamas. That's illegal in the U.S. It's illegal everywhere. But instead, he's lined up with these politicians. We've seen them all at that New York conference. I can't remember all of their names, right? But he's with all the people he did money laundering with. I'll leave it at that, JT.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if there's too much more to say, to be honest. I will say, you know, shout out CoffeeZilla, of course, and other citizen journalists, if you will, that are still holding his feet to the fire, because it's just so interesting to see that these mainstream journalists, doesn't matter what outlet you like or what outlet you want to watch or look at, but really any mainstream outlet that's even mentioned FTX, it's like it's in a way where it does paint him, maybe not to be as like a good guy, but it's just like somebody who made a mistake, you know, just like a random little mistake. So it's like, it's just very interesting that you get more hardline questions from citizen journalists than the supposed actual journalists. And I think it goes a lot to say to quite a level of corruption that we see in just about everything, from whether it be, you know, who distributes news and information to politicians and what have you. I mean, he publicly was buying off, or the second largest donor to the Democrats. I do believe him that he was privately donating to the Republican side. Yep, dark money. I do believe that 100%, because it's the trick of the trade. You buy out both sides, so when either side wins, you get favorable regulation. So I totally believe that. And then all of that money that was going to various news and media outlets, it's like that's one of the oldest tricks in the book. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that do that very thing. I mean, you think about companies out there right now, not to get political, that make weapons of war and then advertise on news media. Like, they're not selling a TV to people. They're not selling an airplane to people that are listening. They're buying hush money for the media that they're advertising on. You know what I mean? They're not
nowadays. Let me add, it's cheap. You can buy a politician for $20 million. That don't cost that much, right? And
not to them.
No, because it's.
I would love $20 million. So
you know what I mean?
If somebody wants to buy me out, that'd be really.
If you create a token and you say it's worth $2 billion, you borrow $4 billion, then they give you another, you know, $4 or $5 billion. You got $10 billion. Giving $20 million to some politician is chump change, and so that's pretty cheap in my book. To then, you know. Let me back it up to, I think about like Lance Armstrong, because he was a big hero of mine growing up, but he makes all these hundreds of millions, but you find out that he's actually only doing steroids. But what happens is he gets to keep all the money, and that's essentially what Sam Bankman-Fried is doing. He pumped up his company on steroids. He created, he faked, and he lied, paid people off, all just to basically be free.
Yeah. And
now I'm pretty sure he's going to raise another $1 billion. Scaramucci, Kevin O'Leary, and people like that is going to give him more money because they believe in him. That shit don't make no sense.
Honestly, I'd be surprised if Scaramucci doesn't give him any more money, though, because I feel like the deal was in the opposite sense. I actually think I don't really have any. This is just a hunch, so I don't have any proof to any of this. But part of me believes that part of the reason that he, allowed SBF to buy out 30% of Skybridge was because Skybridge was lacking on money. So they were also looking for.
They were halting funds.
They were trying to plug a hole. Because if you saw the news weeks before that, they had to pause withdrawals for BTC and all those other things on their funds. So I think there was a liquidity problem at Skybridge that they tapped FTX and Sam to try to fill. And then you come to find out all that was funny money. And I think there's still that hole over at Skybridge.
And it's no wonder now why he's still bought out and trying to paint SBF in a good light, right? And he may not paint him in as much of a good light. Maybe I don't know what level.
Personally, I haven't really seen.
He's
much
protecting him. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing because you don't protect. So it's like the dude's a criminal, though. Like,
in my opinion, 100%. Yeah,
he's a criminal. So it's like that's a bad look, you know. But not to hop on Scaramucci anymore. Shout out to him. You know, he do him what he do. I wouldn't trust none of these people with my money. You know,
and that actually gets me to another question.
Not your crypto.
Is what is the next, one for this bear market, right? We're still not out of it, but trust no one, right? Is there anyone else that you guys see or any platform right now that you guys see in the space that could be, or do you think there's another big fallout coming, or is FTX and kind of what we're seeing from that, is this kind of the end of the bear market or into crypto winter, right? Is there going to be anything more dramatic, do you think, that's coming for this kind of downhill that we're in?
I think some weird regulations going to come now because of this.
But no. I'm saying, like, as far as like people in the space, right? Is there anybody else that you guys see out in the crypto space, CEOs, companies that you think could be bigger and is maybe hiding some of the cracks right now?
Bigger, maybe. I think there's a definite concern with Gemini and Grayscale. No matter how much people want to admit it or not, there's a lot of people just providing cover on that, and I do think there's some cause for alarm in that situation. And personally, I do think there's going to be a lot of fallout. I think we have not seen the end of it. Personally, I think we're going to see a 16-cent Algorand. We're going to see probably close to a 10K Bitcoin. These are just my personal predictions, but I do think there's going to be some more fallout, and I think it's going to be a rough couple of months. But I'll actually disagree a little bit with what C. Will said about regulation, because I know they want there to be regulation. But honestly, after this recent election, the House and the Senate, they're so divided. There's no one party rule anymore. And I just think it's going to be tough to get everyone to agree. And usually when there's not one party rule, you actually have less legislation that gets passed over that year or two. So I think it's coming down the pipeline, but I wouldn't be surprised if absolutely nothing gets done legislatively because of the split Congress.
You're probably right too, because Warnock just won actually over Herschel Walker. So I think the Democrats still have a little pull. But I don't want to get it political either, but I've never seen the Democrats do anything when they have power. So you might be right. Nothing's probably going to happen.
But now they don't even have power. They've lost, and now it's split. I mean, before this midterm.
Oh, they lost the House, right?
Right. So now they don't have one party rule like they did before. And they actually got a lot done. It's a lot of stuff I didn't want, like just whatever. We don't get political.
But they lowered pills and shit like that, but that's one thing. Nothing that us millennials need.
Right. I mean, without getting political, they did pass a lot of things, but now with the split split Congress between the House and the Senate, it's very unlikely. That they overtook the House. The Senate's 50-50 right now. It's at this point the only body they fully control is the executive branch, and that can only go so far. So. I don't know. I just don't think much is going to get done until the next set of elections. So
this is why I'm moving to Dubai. No.
I do think Dubai is going to become the crypto capital of the world. And I'm not just saying that because I was there. Well, I guess in a part I am, because I learned more about what they're doing over there. But
what would make you say that? I'm just curious.
They're favorable regulations. The people I've talked to that have moved out there. I mean, we had a couple set of ladies on the show that work at I believe Telegraph and like other places as well. And one of the women had just moved out there 2 years ago. Another one moved out 15 years ago. And they're all saying the same thing. And these are people that work for like crypto PR firms and Cointelegraph and things of the sort. That Dubai regulation is the most favorable. Like at this point, it's like Dubai, like Puerto Rico, and then Singapore for favorable regulation to crypto. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't only crypto, but actually they had the next like Silicon Valley boom over there in Dubai as well, because there's a lot of good talent and a lot of money going over there.
Well, and in Dubai it was clear, right? You got media city, internet city, medical city. There's regions that they have established so foreigners can come out there and set up shop and easily get visas and citizenship. In the US, we literally clearly, like Sam Bankman-Fried, we take our own people that were born and raised here, and then we push them outside the country to go work for other governments, basically. And we've seen what happened. Even shit, if you look at Tesla and things of that nature, they build and operate outside the US a little bit more. It looks good and sounds good that you got a Tesla gigafactory, but I'm pretty sure the one in China is bigger, right?
I think the one in Berlin is
Berlin's
the biggest.
bigger, right?
Yeah.
So you got, these are not these are outside the US. And Elon Musk is actually truly, he's not even really an American anyway, right? So it's like he just lived here. But if you think about it like that, the US is making interesting decisions on tech companies right now. And I think that is a big problem. We've seen it with Nike. We've seen it with all of these companies. And the semiconductors are another proof to the pudding that we don't actually control the stuff that we should be controlling. So it makes me look outside. But that's to that point of why Dubai is very important in that region, because yes, like you said, they're ready to go right now, clearly, and they got the housing infrastructure set up too.
And you got Binance who's making a pretty big hub over in Dubai.
Yes, you're right. But like I said, back to the islands, Sam Bankman-Fried had it right to go to the Bahamas because all of those areas, they're still friendly with it. They just had a bad actor, basically.
Yeah, well, they're friendly with it because they get paid off. They get paid to look the other way, or just paid to, put favorable legislation. Because like I feel like it was the first Decipher. It was one of the guys that was actually talking about healthcare reform, right? And putting healthcare stuff on the blockchain, right? They do this stuff in the Marshall Islands, right? Yep. They do it there because it's so easy to get laws passed and laws changed to favor what you're trying to do. Whereas you can't do that in the USA or England or these big countries where it can take whole election cycles to actually get the laws you need passed.
We
because
like we're right now in the US as well. We learned in Dubai, I don't think they pay taxes. They're a lot friendlier. We the only country that if you leave this country, you owe the US money just because you live somewhere else via taxes. And that's a big issue that other countries don't have. They're more positive to innovation.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see kind of what happens throughout the next, 2 to 4 years in crypto. I do think the next year and a half is still going to be, I feel like it's going to be crypto winter, right? I don't think we're going to be seeing another year and a half of down negative prices. I think we're going to see more choppy sideways stuff for the next year to year and a half. I think the bottom for most everything we see in the bear market is going to be within the next 3 months. But if you even look at this chart, right, I think you got a little bit more drawdown probably to the beginning of 2023, January, February. And then you're going to see that choppy sideways action for a while, but it's going to be, for the most part, trending upward, I think.
So you see the 16 cents, JT?
I am seeing 16 cents personally. There's a lot of eerie similarities between the COVID crash and all the sentiment really before it as well as patterns unfolding. And I posted this on the 22nd of November, and it seems to be coming true. I mean, it's still perfectly within that within this pattern, and really wouldn't shock me. And I think regardless of what happens with this whole FTX thing, even if there isn't any more fallout in the crypto market and there's no more black swans in the crypto market, crypto is still a risk-on asset. And until rates either are paused or come down a little bit and inflation comes down, the time to shine for risk-on assets is just not now. And it's going, risk-on assets won't come back until inflation comes down, and so does the federal funds rate. And it's just like really as simple as that. And unfortunately, we all had to learn the hard way this crypto cycle that you don't fight the Fed, and it's just kind of a tale as old as time that we all have to learn the hard way one way or another. But we're here, and I don't think things turn around until the Fed turns around.
Right. And normally you're not fighting the Fed, no one thought we'd be fighting the Fed this long, right? I mean, like what we're seeing right now is something that only happens ever so often. Normally you get a pullback or a drawdown, but normally it reverses and you're back in the green and moving up, quite a bit faster than what we're seeing. I mean, this isn't .com era yet, and it's not even, I would say, 2008 financial crisis. But if we see another big capitulation or another 6 months of downward price action, then we're going to start looking us very similar to some of the worst financial, investing times, during my lifetime for sure.
Yeah, it's looking bad.
So what are your all's thoughts on, the whole Algorand Foundation, after going to Decipher, right? Seeing that, obviously everybody within the Algorand Foundation is working hard. What are your all's thoughts though, when it comes to, how they're spinning the algos, right? Dumping on the Algorand community, the people who are holding, especially with this new ALGO Ventures thing that was announced to Decipher. What are your all's thoughts there?
I'll start off at least with Algo Ventures or Algorand Ventures, which I think it is funny that it basically has like a very similar name to what one of our prior guests had for.
Right.
Yeah, but regardless, if anyone hasn't
Maybe that's
heard,
why they booted him. They wanted to take his name and he didn't want to give it up.
oh man. So yeah, Algorand Ventures. In my opinion, I'm kind of excited for this. A lot of people, there's mixed opinions about it, in my opinion. But essentially, the way it is, it's like kind of turning Algorand into its own VC, because, and I kind of like that concept, because there's a lot of VCs out there that you can't really trust to be in it for the actual like good of the ecosystem, and I think it's more likely to get that sort of commitment from Algorand itself, as opposed to a random VC that's ultimately just hunting for yield as with the rest of us, So I like that development. As towards the Algorand Foundation as a whole, I get a lot of the criticism, and there's plenty of valid criticism against the foundation out there. But I also, just like based on everybody I met, like it's clear that they're all working really, really hard to figure it out. And it's, people all have different opinions on which direction it should go. And I don't know. It seems like a job that's honestly like a little bit more difficult than I'd want to, than a lot of people want to admit, honestly. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think their hearts are in the right place, honestly. I don't think there's any like malicious intent going on behind the scenes. Now, there's plenty of things to criticize in the sense of like should certain like fund. Yeah,
I would just say, what about the transparency report, right? Stacy was tweeting out before Decipher that they were planning to do it at Decipher, and now it's like in the next quarter. So they are obviously trying to
keep pushing that. They keep pushing that down.
Let's air it out. I'll air it out a few things.
No, they keep pushing that down the line. But to be fair, she did say either Decipher or maybe the week after. But now that it's a week after, she's saying next quarter. So now it's kind of I get that. But yeah, air it out. Air it out.
I want to air it out. So what people are pissed off clearly was marketing, right? So the communication of we've been sold FIFA, like, hey, FIFA's happening. 3 days in, it's not happening after we all promoted it and talked about it for 7 months. Okay. People bringing up that Stacy immediately donates money to this biking company that she's affiliated with it. I did research it. It seems to be true. The biking company was only bringing in about $600K a year for 7 years straight. And then she immediately gives them 15 million, which definitely pumps their bags. That's a whole nother conversation. Did we lose 30 something million? Yes, we lost 30 something million. Lost another million inside of the FTX. So all of that is out there. Has marketing been the best? No, it has not been the best. Now we have a new marketing person that seems to be announced. There's a new head of NFT initiatives. There's a new head of a lot of positions that we were asking for. Yep. Right. When you watch the video, he brings everybody on the stage. So we know the problems are there and they're bringing up solutions. Just like somebody brought was it Opolis in there? Just like Opolis, they're gonna postpone things. So I see that that's something we got to get used to. Because if you look at that corporate structure that even that Algorand has, I talk to people, I need approval to do this. Someone else needs approval to do that. They need approval. So we're still dealing with a corporate structure. She is clearly hiring TradeFi people, traditional finance. So they're going to bring traditional finance to this space. So that is also a no-brainer that what's going to happen. My thing for sure is what's going to happen in the first quarter. Is everything going to be the truth, or is everything going to be a lie? That's what I think we have to see.
Well, see, it already seems like they're trying to change things. It seems like
they're trying. Yeah. I noticed that at Decipher. They are trying, but there's a lot of pieces there, and that's like my observation. But I think on the community, what it comes down to is what I kind of be saying online. Don't worry about them. They're good for giving money to people, and they're good for what they're going to do. I think we should all invest way more into the startups and the founders that
Absolutely.
are building onto the project, because I think they're bringing the most value, as we've been kind of pointing out. So with Algorand Foundation, my opinion, they're going to do what they do. We're going to be pissed if it doesn't, go the way that we want it. Otherwise, my whole focus is on startups, and I believe in the people and the projects that are building. That's my rant.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And honestly, I kind of want to second that, because I think there's so much attention on the foundation as this one central entity, and like the entire ethos of crypto is supposed to be this like decentralized thing. So like we kind of give them more power just by giving them all of the attention that we do. So like our attention would be better served building out, and paying more attention to and highlighting the various aspects of all of these different projects and people that are building on Algorand, versus giving all of our attention, time, and energy towards one central entity to do it all for us. And I think that's it kind of goes counter a little bit to crypto's underlying narrative to begin with. So I actually really like that point you made.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. Am I more bullish than ever because of what I've just experienced at Decipher? Yes.
Yep.
Am I hurt that the algo price is down? Even worse. Yes. I don't like that
Hell
at
yes.
all. Yes. I got a question for y'all too, right? Beyond Algorand, is there any other coin that you were looking at?
Personally, no. And that's not because there aren't any other good ones out there. It's just because I haven't had really a good enough time to be diving into other ecosystems. So basically most of my time has just been focused on Algorand. So obviously you've got the top ones. I think you can't discount Bitcoin. I don't think you can discount Ethereum, even though I have plenty of criticisms of Ethereum, and I've been criticizing it since 2017 and looking for alternatives since then. It's still there. But otherwise, honestly, no, I haven't really been paying attention to much. I'm mostly in stable coins right now. So I'm really not holding too much crypto in general.
What about you, David?
I mean, I hold a few other things, some things in the Polkadot. I can't want to say Polygon, but the Polkadot ecosystem. And then obviously, the majority of mine's in Algo. So, I mean, I just don't see anything above Algo that has better tech that can actually, like, utility wise, that if a big company came in and actually, I'm not talking about what Polygon's doing. Polygon is, I mean, heck, there's even, I don't even know if y'all even saw a lot of the Twitter chat that's going on with Polygons, that they've just pretty much done what the Algorand Foundation did with FIFA. They've just been buying all these partnerships and hyping everything up to make it seem like, Disney and Nike and all these things are wanting to use Polygon. Like, no, that's VC money paying to have these partnerships. Because, like, what is Starbucks doing with Polygon? Does anybody know? I go to Starbucks at least once a week. My wife goes probably more than me. We never see anything about Polygon, right? It's an NFT grab. What was the FIFA Plus collect? NFT grab, money grabs from these partnerships and things like that. So, like, it's, I look at the future and I think, what company is actually going to come in and use these? At the moment, I would say Algorand is that shining one. Now, yes, they could get bought to use other things. And honestly, that's the way I see it. If Algorand fails, it's because they're not rubbing elbows with the right people to make these connections happen. I thought we saw, that connection happen when FIFA partnered, but, it's still, maybe it's because it's the bear market. I don't know. Maybe if there's still a official, blockchain of FIFA come the next FIFA World Cup, maybe it'll be a whole different story, right? Who knows? But I don't see anything above Algorand in market cap that deserves to be there over Algorand, right? You still got SHIB and Doge and many other things in the top 15 with double, triple the market caps of chains that you can a big company could actually come in and implement the blockchain into their everyday business. I just don't see it. So that's why I'm not currently really seeing much. Now, there's tons of projects outside, the top 50, top 100 that look promising, but I would say it's a roll of the dice on the VCs and the big money that's behind them, right? At that point, you're trying to guess which one's going to be the next Solana, which is just a whole entire ecosystem propped up by big money, right? Because it's all Solana was. I would say that's all many of the top 10, 15, 25 cryptos are. And at that point, like I said, you're rolling, you're gambling. So I prefer to, do the fundamental analysis, find the projects that are actually building something, And obviously we saw with what, John Woods talked about Decipher, a lot of the things that Algorand tech wise is going to be putting out in 2023. And to me, that's bullish.
I hear you on that
absolutely. And I am certainly a bear over the next year, probably maybe 6 months or so, 6 to 12 months. But long term, I am a mega bull, especially for Algorand. I think, as Sewell said, I came out of Decipher with being more bullish than ever, to be honest, at least for the long term trajectory. Of course, I don't think any good news for any one single coin is going to change the state of the macro conditions currently. So we kind of just have to wait it out. But yeah, personally, I am very long-term bullish. And I just want to circle back to something I mentioned earlier by MAPay with their 100 million NFTs, because it looks like a press release was released about 2 hours before this stream started, which is pretty exciting. So now people can officially read up on this news from PR Newswire, provided by Algorand. So MAPay to create first 100 million NFTs for digital health records on the Algorand blockchain. And you can see right here, let's see, the Ministry of Public Health and Family Welfare in the government of some town, India, I don't want to pronounce that, to provide NFT technology that will store personal health data on the blockchain for the first time. Built on Algorand, the first deployment will introduce upwards of 100 million NFTs for this purpose. And that's just the first deployment. I think this is a way bigger news than people want to give it credit for. And I also, before we wrap up here too, I do want to make a mention of how we value certain things. And as you can see over here, one of the things that gives these chains value is their ecosystem that creates demand for their tokens. And with L2s turned off, Ethereum, even though it might not have the best tech, it has the biggest ecosystem. There's 609 protocols, not including L2s. You include L2s into this, and it gets to be about 907 protocols. Like that's a lot. And even Binance Smart Chain, I mean, it's a very centralized chain, in my opinion, controlled by Binance, but it has a huge ecosystem. You've got Avalanche with 274 protocols, Polygon with 344, Phantom with 269, and then you go down to Algorand, and we've got 20, which is growing, and it's great. And I know we technically have more than that, but only 20 that are tracked. I mean, maybe we have like 25, 30 that are actually on chain, but like, even still, I mean, that's nothing compared to these numbers, especially if you give the fact that not everything's tracked on Ethereum too. I guarantee you there's some projects out there that aren't being tracked as well. So
right, but that's where I'm saying the big money though, like the reason why Ethereum and Binance and Avalanche and Polygon, all these have these big ones is because that's where big money's at, right? If big money comes to Algorand, watch how fast the ecosystem could blow up. Because I'll say this, if you go back a year, like not even a year ago, it was 8 months ago, and you look at that, and if you could pull up both of them side by side, most of those ecosystems, I would say even are above Algorand, were below Algorand before. Like they were rocking 3, 4, 5 protocols. What happened? Big money left Ethereum, is going out to try to find these layer 2s that are faster, more scalable and stuff like that, and trying to invest early to see, like I've said, the next Solana pop, right? It's just big VCs trying to roll the dice and gamble on what they think is going to be the next Solana. I don't know why everybody wants the next Solana. Maybe because it's easy to control and turn off and on and get shady stuff done on it. But,
I think that's largely true. But I also think, I mean, one of the reasons that these ecosystems have the ability to grow faster, because there are VCs in Algorand as well. And there's plenty of VCs that'd be willing to throw money around into the Algorand ecosystem. But the problem that has always plagued Algorand, even though it has the quote unquote best tech, is the developer experience. And anyone I've ever spoken to that builds on Algorand versus other blockchains that people already understand how to code on, is that it's not that easy to build on Algorand comparatively to some of these other chains. I mean, you've got some of these chains like Avalanche that's got 274 protocols. They just benefit from the ability to copy and paste basically.
Exactly. It's the AVM discussion.
Yep. For sure. And I think overall the AVM is a better virtual machine, but it hinders that ability of that initial growth. You know what I mean? So the growth is slower just by virtue of that alone, like the ability to not be able to port applications from one chain to the other. That you have to redo the entire code base. Now, hopefully, with something like Milkamada and their A1 rollup, that begins to change a little bit, and people can just build Ethereum virtual machine style applications just right on Algorand, and then realize, oh, this is great. Maybe we'll just build an actual Algorand application. It's like a step process over into the ecosystem. But
I want to add, you're right. When you talk about Ethereum, the EVM, essentially is like if you can't just use a MetaMask on an Algorand application, you eliminated 90% of the people.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, they have a
okay.
monopoly on wallets.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
they
for
do.
sure.
What do you guys think then about how much energy, money, and time Algorand is spending with its network of schools and colleges across the world that it's
I think
trying
that's a
to
great idea.
I was
raise
that's
the
a
next
great idea.
generation, right? Is this something like Algorand's going to have to wait until this next actual wave of developers comes in, right? Because right now we have the current ones who only want to do EVM. They just want to be able to port their project from Ethereum to another chain as fast as they can, so they can make as much money as they can. Whereas you're seeing Algorand focus more on the education side, trying to teach the AVM and not just be a copy and paste chain of Ethereum, right? Because we're like that's
It's
the
a
whole
really
thing.
good long-term play, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
But this is the thing about this space. A long-term, 1 year is like freaking 5 to 10 years.
It's dog years.
It's dog
crypto is
years.
Well,
dog
I'll
years,
say
yeah.
this: 1
It's
year
like you
is
gotta
so
be a little
long
bit
now
faster.
because of what we just saw in the past 2 to 3 years of crypto, right? You saw a periods of 8 months, 6 month stretches where people were becoming millionaires overnight holding Doge. So everybody expects that if and when the market turns around, that's going to happen again. And the fact is,
They're
the
gonna be
matter is,
mistaken.
that's not going to happen. Like
Yeah.
the things that are going to last now are going to be the Googles, the Amazons of the future.
Right.
I would
And a
say.
lot of people that got into this space as like a retail investor got in during a period of unprecedented money printing, and they don't realize how much that distorted their view of how markets work and how gains are made and how much gains are reasonable gains. So I think people are going to be mistaken, like just on the difference of these markets going forward. But to the point that that you were making, as well as the point I was making, I kind of want to merge them together. As we were saying at Decipher, there were like 900 projects building on Algorand that are there. And I know personally that there are dozens of projects that I've personally spoken to that are waiting to launch because these conditions aren't great conditions.
Yeah.
So I think after 2023 or 2024, the ecosystem, we're going to look back on DeFi Llama and we're going to have 1,000+ protocols because they're all waiting to launch right now anyway. Like there's a lot of things that are mostly done in testnet
and a lot of
phases
things
or
are
what have you.
waiting for things like Goracle, right? We talked to them.
Right. They're just waiting for an Oracle service that's about to launch.
Yeah.
They're
Like
waiting for a couple key
FXDX.
pieces, and then it's all going to come together.
Yeah, they're waiting for their token with FXDX.
And at that point, this is when I feel like you're going to look back, and obviously, who knows what the token price will be once that does finally flip over. But that's when you're going to see everybody coming out like, I told you, I wish I'd have bought more under X, or I wish I'd have bought,
right? I'm gonna
this,
say that.
Well,
right?
we're all
Because
gonna
it's
say-
going to happen overnight.
One day we're all going to say that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, you've seen how quickly, even if you look back to the last bull runs that we saw Algo go on, where Algo went from 80 cents to pretty much above $2, it took 6 months, 5 months, sometimes even less. If you go back and you look at maybe the run from 10 cents up to 50 cents, it took, a month and a half. And so that's where you really have to think the price that you see now, like, it can move so fast, especially when it comes to speculation. And when and if the money printer gets turned back on, rates go back down, and the environment all around the macro looks more conducive. And then you pile on top of that, Algorand gets a lot of these protocols to start launching, and it starts to look like it can contend with something like Ethereum. I mean, at that point, you're not, the next run, I would say also, you're not going to see a 1 trillion market cap for all of crypto, or a 3 trillion. You're going to see a 10 trillion. And then you start looking at how much of market share would Algorand needed that, right?
Well, that's the thing that people are missing on the equation as well, because when you look at the growth of the crypto market, it does actually look like the next cycle will hit like $9 to $10 trillion, as this one hit about 3 trillion. And the thing is like everyone has this winner takes all mentality or all or nothing type of mentality. And even if Algorand maintained its exact same market share that it does now, and it only has like 0.5% or 1% market share of the entire crypto market. It's not much at all. It might even be less than 0.5. If it just maintained that same share of market value, but we had a $10 trillion market versus $3 trillion market at the peak, that's still that's still like a $7 or $8 Algorand, and that's just maintaining its position at like 0.5% market share. Imagine if it got to 5% market share. It doesn't even have to be beating Ethereum to have astronomical gains. Even if it just went to 2 to 5% market share in a market that also increases 3x, I mean, it's a no-brainer right there. That's astronomical growth, whether you're top dog or not.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, let me say this: like, I always challenge people: go buy, $5-10 of a whole bunch of different chains, and then make some trades and use it. And then
Right.
what it does is make
Test
me
out their DeFi too.
Yeah, test your DeFi. Yeah, go use applications, and what it does, it makes me run back to Algorand. Honestly,
Yeah. Because I'll say this:
so
the one I hold on Polkadot, right? It's the Moonbeam network, which
that's
I don't hold tons of it, but I go to stake that, and when I go to claim a reward, it takes a solid 30 seconds, 45 seconds for that transaction to go through. And the fees, I'll say this, because they're the platform I'm on, right, has a kind of like AlgoFi has their algo token, or the bank token. Yeah, it has the bank token. So like, there's technically a token you earn on that called the whale token. There are times where the fee to claim my whale rewards is actually higher than the whale I'm actually earning. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like these things don't work, and it's literally just Ponzi's. It's Ponzi's that are propped up, waiting to almost have a Terra Luna type thing if they lose funding and their VCs pull out. But that's what I'm saying. You go to Algorand and it just works. Every 3.5 seconds, you do a transaction. It's there. There's none I've ever tried where it's that fast and you can almost depend upon it. So
okay, a fun question: we still buying FTT token?
I never did.
When did we stop?
Right, it's at a good price. Not financial advice.
What is it even at?
It's like I don't know, $1 or some shit.
I mean,
but, we should start closing out.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone go buy FTT and Luna Classic, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Don't
do that, y'all. Don't clip this up either.
Right, don't clip that out. That was a joke. If anyone didn't get that.
Yeah.
I don't even see it. I don't even know if FTT is in the top 100. Let's see. It's not even tracked anymore.
Hey, how about this? Before we depart, everyone in the comments, real quick, give us 1 or 2 minutes of your time and let us know who you want to have on the show. Like, who should we reach out to have on the show? Let us know who you want. We'll try to make it happen. And
even in other ecosystems.
Yeah, it could be other ecosystems. Could be anybody.
Agnostic right now.
Yeah, literally anybody that you want to see or talk to or hear their thoughts on this channel. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. And if you can, hit like on this video, share it after it's done, subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
See you, everybody.
Thank you.